Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad, teaching His word in truth and sincerity. I'm back with another lesson through the Spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And this is going to be on, the importance of presenting your body as a living sacrifice, as it pertains to going out into the highways and byways and teaching our people, the truth, the prophecies of the last days, and how to prepare. And it's gonna be a short lesson, Lord willing, quick and edifying. Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Right? So you want to present your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. It's the least you can do in the fact that the Lord gave you the wisdom and knowledge to be able to spread, to our people, and to be able to prophesy so the world can hear, right? Because the world is supposed to hear the judgment, of this current kingdom, Babylon the Great, right? This is arguably the greatest kingdom that's been on the earth. And the Lord has a great judgment for it, just as the Lord had a great judgment for Egypt, right? And so, we're out here presenting our bodies as a living sacrifice, doing the works of Yahweh Bashim Shai, especially when it comes to going out to the highways and byways and preaching and teaching the word, right? And that's one way that we present our bodies as a living sacrifice, by going against the elements, going against the wicked people in this world, right? Let's actually go to Second Timothy 4:1. It says, I charge thee, therefore, before God and the Lord Yahweh Mashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Right? It says, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season. Right? So, you're supposed to preach the word when it's favorable with people, when it's not favorable. When people receive it, when they don't receive it, even when it's hot, when it's cold. Going into the different seasons, right? But whether it's accepted or unacceptable to the people, because of course the people go against it. They say we this hate speech, that we're not supposed to be speaking what we're speaking, that we're dividing. Hey, but the scriptures tell us that the world cannot receive a spirit, right? So the spirit that we are, the spirit that's coming out through the preaching of the word, the people can't receive that, so they're gonna go against us. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. And we already see that happening in today's time, where people will go after these different teachers that cater to what they believe in, rather than just the truth, right? They want the truth to make sense to them and how they operate, rather than them conforming themselves to the truth. And that's being done a lot in these last days, and that's why you have the true men on the highways and byways that teach the word in truth and sincerity. And it might not be popular, right? Because you think about GMS. GMS is not they're popular, but they're not. They're the least favorite, one of the least favorite groups as far as people look at us and the doctrine that we teach, and our doctrine is raw and straight up and uncut, and people don't like that. So they want teachers that trim the doctrine so that the people could accept it. And we don't do that. We teach the word exactly how it's supposed to be taught. The scriptures that people don't like, well, it is what it is, right? Because at the end of the day, we shall not declare all the counsel of the Lord. Let's actually go to that. We shall not declare all the counsel of the Lord. I think that's in might be an Acts somewhere. Let's see. Get this real quick. 20 and 26. Is it? Yep. This is Acts 20. I'm going to start at 26. Wherefore I take you to record this day that I am pure from the blood of all men, for I have shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of God. For I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of God. So wherefore I take you to record this day that I am pure from the blood of all men. And that's being done by preaching of the word. You know, the preaching of the word in truth and sincerity, to where you're pure from all the blood of men, right? Because we understand that if the word is given to you to preach and you don't preach the word, then those who perish, you know, in their wickedness, if you didn't give them warning, then the blood is going to be on your hands. So Paul is saying he's pure from all, you know, the blood of all men, because he shunned not to declare all the counsel of the Lord. So he gave you the full understanding. You know, he didn't hold back the word, right? That's why I said the scriptures say, cry aloud, spare not, right? We're not here to be pleasers of the world and to preach a doctrine that the world's going to receive. Because like we stated, what we previously stated, John 14 and 17 says the world would not receive the spirit, right? So why would we cater our doctrine? You know, the more the world accepts the doctrine, the more you will have to question the doctrine, right? The more you got to question what people are saying. If your doctrine is world friendly and everybody understands it and believes it, and no, that's not how the gospel is, right? So like I said, you know, being that you're given this word, and you're a defender pretty much of the gospel. You're set as a defense, right? So anybody coming up with the bullshit, and you're supposed to cast it down. Anybody who try to speak any words, you know, that's contrary to Yahweh Shem Shai's doctrine, you got to cast it down. And you've seen that being done on the highways and byways. You know, like this word has become popular from men on the highways and byways, casting down every imagination that tried to exalt themselves above Yahweh Shai in the doctrine, right? Out in the highways and byways, apologists, Christians, Muslims, anybody coming up against the doctrine, they get sliced by the sword, man. They get cut up. And that was done by the men of the Lord, presenting them bodies as a living sacrifice out there in the elements, out there with all the different evil spirits on these people, and cutting these people down with the word, you know. And that's a part of presenting your body, you know. 'Cause anything can happen out there. Anything can happen. But as a man that's bold in Yahweh Shem Shai, and you're doing your reasonable service. So let's go to Proverbs 1, and we're gonna start at 1 and 20. It's Proverbs 1 and 20. It says, wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets, she crieth in the chief places of concourse, in the opening of the gates in the city, she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorners, and fools hate knowledge. So it says, wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets, right? It's out, you know, it's out in the open where everybody can come get it. You know, I don't have to go into a building, into a sanctuary, you know, so-called sanctuary, right? I don't have to go there to get the word. The word is out in the highways and byways. It's out in the street corners where anybody can go. There's no excuse of, oh, you need to send me, or you need to give me money, tithes and things like that, so the building can, you know, I don't need none of those excuses for money, right? If the brothers want to give money, that's good. You know what I'm saying? People want to, you know, give tithes and help out the, the ministry. There's nothing wrong with that. But it being a requirement, it being a big thing that's talked about, oh, you brothers ain't giving tithes, people ain't giving tithes, like the Christian church does. Christian church is famous for passing the collection plate around over and over within the church service, right? That's not what it's supposed to be about. The word is supposed to be pre and preached. That's the main important part of this ministry. The words of Yahweh Shem Shai, not the collection plate being passed around and a building needed to be sustained, the rent and things like that, right? So let me go to Matthew, right? Because Matthew shows you exactly how you're supposed to do everything. It's Matthew 22 and 9. It says, go ye therefore in the highways, and as many as you find, bid to the marriage. All right, so that's what you're supposed to be doing. You go to the highways and hedges and you bid them to the marriage, right? Because it's supposed to be a marriage with the bride and Yahweh Shai, All right, so you invite people to the marriage through the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Shema Shai, the gospel being preached. And once the gospel is preached, they hear it, and those who can receive it, they'll receive it, and those who can't, they'll be they'll be compelled to leave or not listen to what's going on. So this is a quick lesson on presenting your body as a living sacrifice, doing the work of the Lord, so that the next part of prophecy can come, because the next part is going to be the destruction, which we can see in today's time. It's gradually starting to happen, right? We're seeing the atmosphere start to change towards the Jacob's trouble, and World War III, Esau Edom's New World Order, the image of the beast being erected right now. Right, so we see all these things happening at this current time, and we're here to blow the trumpet, but you need men out here to be able to blow the trumpet, to be able to out there presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, so that warning can be heard throughout the earth, right? So those who are supposed to change and hear it, the Israelites, the elect, they'll hear it and they'll change, and those who are not supposed to get it, they're pretty much condemned, and their own sins become a testimony against them, because they didn't want to repent, they didn't want to turn back to Yahweh Shema Shai, they didn't want to listen to the men that were out there pretty much for them, so they can understand it. So with that, quick lesson, but I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Until next time, Lord willingly, Shalom.